Okay, this is the last videos for 14.2. We will make chapter 15.2 optionals, but I will include some videos if you want to learn about it. Alright, last videos. We talk about consumer surplus and producer surplus. What consumer surplus means is they are looking at the difference in price between what the consumer willing to pay for each unit and what they actually pay for them. So say like why now hand sanitizer is difficult to find. The consumer may be willing to pay $10 for like 16 ounces bottle, but they were able to find like the same size for $7, so that's a difference of $3 per bottle there. So that's the difference between what the consumer is willing to pay for each unit and what they actually pay for them, so there's a saving there. So that's the formula. The D of X is the demand functions, X is how many units, and the P would be the market price. And as the graph show, the area is showing the difference between the price they pay and what they are willing to pay. Alright, so the producer surplus is like the difference between what the suppliers receive and what they would be willing to receive. So if they are selling a product, maybe they are willing to receive $100 per unit, but actually the consumer willing to pay $120. So there's a difference between what they actually receive and what they're willing to receive. Okay. So S of X is your supply functions, P is the price, X is how many units. So let's do some example together. On the next page, we have an example for each one of them. So the first one say found a consumer surplus. So this is tipping you to use those formula, and you don't have to remember the formula because it will be provided for you. They say the price level is $8 and the price demand function is given to you. This is the price demand functions. So first we're going to need to solve for X, or some book may say X, which means number of units. So this is probably the part that sometimes students get confused on the test and they forget that this is the first step they need to do. So they got stuck with like the formula and don't have enough information to plug it in. So make sure you found how many units first. So the given price is $8, right? So we have the P function here, P equal to 20 minus 0.05x, right? That's your price functions. And if my price is $8, I can plug in my $8 here, right? And then try to solve for X. So subtract 20 both sides. We got a negative 12 equal to negative 0.05x. Divide both sides by 0.05. Negative 0.05, negative 0.05. You should find x equal to 240 units. So once we have this number, we can plug it into what they want to find, which is consumer surplus, right? So the consumer surplus formula say that consumer surplus equal to integral of how many units here for the limits, and then inside the parenthesis we put the demand price function subtracting the price given to you and dx. So this is not a super difficult function to take integral of, so that's the good news. But we have 0 here. How many units? 240. And then I put my D function in, which is 20 minus 0.05x, and I need to subtract my price. Price is $8, right? So the whole step are not too bad, but you do need to know what those information is and plug it in correctly, right? So let's combine like term first. 0 to 40. In here, 20 minus 8 is 12 minus 0.05x. That's not a chain rule, so that's awesome. We can just go ahead and take integral. Just be careful. 12 will turn into 12x minus 0.05. And then that would be 1/2, right? X squared. So make sure you're doing integral, not derivative, right? And then after that, we're going to need to do the number. I like this is 0, so it's going to make things a little bit easier. Okay, so that would be 12x minus 0.05 divided by 2 is 0.025, right? And then we have x squared, and then we are ready to plug in those numbers, right? So 12 times 240, subtracting 0.025 240, oops, square, and then all of this would be subtracting 12 times 0 is 0, this guy times 0 is 0, right? So it's safe to say they are subtracting a 0. For the second part, you can use your calculator. 12 times 240. Need to subtract 0.025 times 240 square. So the answer is 1440. So this would be the total saving to the consumer who are willing to pay a higher price for the product is 1440. Okay, all right, so that's the first question. The second question is about producer surplus. So they give you the price level. They ask you to find the producer surplus, so that's the tip up. You need to go use that formula. The price level is $20, and this is your price for the supply function. So again, if you try to plug in the producer surplus formula, which is integral with x here 0 and p minus s of x dx, right? So I have my price, I have this function, I don't have how many units. So first we need to solve for the units. First, solve for x. Given p equal to 20, right? The price is 20. We can plug it into the price function. 20 equal to 2 plus 0.0002 x squared. All right, let's see. So first I need to subtract 2 both sides, right? Subtract 2. We got 18 equal to 0.0002 x squared. Divide both sides by 0.0002. I'm sorry, 0.0002. 0.0002. So 18 divided by 0.0002 is 90,000, right? Okay, 90,000 equal to x squared. So to solve for x, we take square with both sides. This side come with plus and minus, right? So x will be plus minus 300, which we are talking about how many units, so only positive, right? 300 units. All right, so we found the x number. We can plug it into the producer surplus formula, right? So we're going to have integral of 0 to 300 units. We got my price is 20. Need to subtract whatever that is. 2 plus 0.0002 x squared dx. So be super careful. You are subtracting the price functions, which means your negative need to be distributed in both terms, right? So that is one of the common mistakes on the test. All right, so let's try it. 300, 0. combined like term, this is 20 minus 2. Can you tell? That's going to be 18. Can I go ahead and do that to save one step? Okay, so this is like subtract, right? So 18 and minus 0.0002 x squared, okay? And then you do dx. So ready to take the integral, equal to basically 18x minus 0.0002. This would be 1 over 3x cubed, right? And after I take the integral, I can wipe those numbers you need to plug in on the side. Alright, so I like the 0 part because both of them need to multiply to x, so I'm just subtracting 0, so that is awesome. And then the next part is plugging in those numbers. I'm going to have 18 times 300 minus 0.0002 over 3, that is going to be 300 cubed. And then I was supposed to plug in 0 to subtract, right? But it will make the whole thing equal to 0, so that would be good. Let's plug into the calculator, and hopefully what you get is 3,600. So that would be the producer surplus if price is at $20 per unit. Alright, so then not awful. You do need to find how many units first and plug it in and do the correct steps. Okay, very last example. The last one asks you to find the equilibrium price and consumers and producers surplus, okay? So do you remember what is the equilibrium? Equilibrium means you set what and what equal to each other. So equilibrium, you set the demand function equal to the supply function. So supply is equal to demand is going to be equilibrium. I have a hard time saying anything. Okay, alright, so and after you do that, and if you solve for x, that would be the equilibrium quantity, how many units, and then the y part, it would be the equilibrium price. So keep that in mind when we do that. So they give you the price functions for demand and supply. So to find the equilibrium, we set demand functions equal to supply function. So let's do that and solve for x. Okay, so let's see. We got 20 minus 0.05x equal to 2 plus 0.0002 x squared. So because the highest power is x squared, is a quadratic, so it would be helpful if we set that equal to 0, right? So we may need to factor. Set it equal to 0. So to set it equal to 0, I am going to say that I'm going to subtract this 20 to the other side, and then also add this 0.05x over here. Okay, so one side is 0. Is it okay if I put the x squared first? 0.0002 x squared, and then I have plus 0.05x, and then minus 20 plus 2 is minus 18. So that's my quadratic function. I don't really like that because it's going to be hard to factor. So to get rid of that, I could divide the whole equation left and right, divide both sides by 0.0002. So 0 divided anything is just 0. And then this would be just x squared. This divided by 0.0002 will get me 250x. and then negative 18 divided by that will get me a negative 90,000. Okay, so you will slowly play it with the factoring, so hopefully after a while you figure it out. The factor would be x minus 200 times x plus 450. So you set each of them equal to 0, x equal to 200, and then x equal to negative 450. So remember x is units, right? So we probably will fold the negative number away. We can have negative number for units. Okay, so the first part is just finding how many units, 200 units here. How about the price? And then we need to find price. You can either plug in the demand function or supply function. You should get the same number, price of D200 or price equal to S of 200. So 20 minus 0.05 200 or 2 plus 0.0002 200 square. So if you do both of these, your answer should be the same. Both of these P should equal to $10. Okay, so plug in one of them would be fine. If you want to double check, you can plug in both of them. So we concluded the equilibrium price and units is this. So equilibrium quantity is 200 units. Equilibrium price is $10 per unit. So we did that part, but they also want to know the consumer surplus and producer surplus, right? So let's try that. It's a really long question. Okay, so we have those information. Consumer surplus would be how many units here, and then demand functions, demand price function, subtract the price, dx, right? So we're gonna have 200 and 0 here. We got 20. The demand function is 20 minus 0.05x, and then we need to subtract the price, which is 20. I'm sorry, this is 200 that we just plug in and subtract $10 here, and then dx. All right, let's see. We're gonna have 200 0. After we combine like term, this will be 10 minus 0.05 x dx. So I'm ready to take the integral. That will be 10x minus 0.05 times 1/2 x squared, right? And then the whole thing need to plug in 200 and 0, right? Okay, what do we get? This is 10 times 200 minus 0.05 divided by 2 is going to be 0.025. That need to multiply by 200 square, right? And we were supposed to subtract the lower limit part, but that would be a 0. Okay, so if you plug in the calculator, consumer surplus should be $1,000. Okay, and then we still need to find the producer surplus, right? Okay, producer surplus formula say x unit 0 here. Use your price minus suppliers functions dx. So we got 200 units. For my upper limit, 0 is the lower one. $10 subtracting supply functions is 2 plus 0.0002 x squared, right? The whole thing dx. So just be careful again. This is subtracting both terms, right? Alright, so we got 200 0. So 10 minus 2 is 8. subtracting 0.0002 x squared dx. So we're ready to take the integral. We are going to have 8x minus 0.0002. This brings down the 3 as denominator, right? And then x raised to the third power. Plug in again 200 as my upper limit, 0 as the lower limit, right? So we have 8 times 200 minus 0.0002 divided by 3. That need to multiply 200 raised to the third power. And then you subtract the lower limit, but luckily that would be 0, right? So if you plug into the calculator, hopefully what you will find is the producer surplus is going to be $1,067. Alright, so that's the last example. I know it's really long and intense. And if you look at the graph, they kind of show you the difference between the consumer surplus and producer surplus. And they kind of meet in the middle for the equilibrium price and units, okay?